Hey guys, welcome along to the show. This is Here's Rodder's Reviews. I'm Rodney Stewart, your host and He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. This is Return of the Gryphon. On the back of the box, what it says here is Trapjaw and Beastman move the jewel of protection, meaning the Gryphon will destroy everything in its path in order to retrieve it, including the royal palace. This is one of Skeletor's schemes. Sends these guys after this jewel. You don't see him in this episode. He's only mentioned when they're stealing it, which they do within a few minutes at the beginning of the episode, and they leave it out in the middle of this little village where it's at. The village name is Chandor Village. The next morning, the residents are freaking out because the Gryphon, giant beast, left this jewel and they put it in the shrine to protect it. And now that it's gone, the Gryphon is going to return, which it does in a major way. It's a huge dragon-like creature, wings and like the head of a lion. So it goes to town, destroying the village. The jewel, however, has been found by a young page of the palace called Thad, who is a little kid that is, feels like he's invisible. No one can see him. They never remember his name. And when he finds this jewel, he thinks that, now that I have this, people are going to remember me. It's the sake of a possession, essentially, in his eyes. And, as long as I have this, people will remember me. They'll speak to me. It's going to make me more than what I am, essentially. So throughout the entire episode, everybody knows that he has it. Doesn't take him long to let people know. He's kind of like, oh, look what I've got. Takes it to man at arms. He's like, this is great. I've never seen something like this before. Can I keep it here and study it for a few days? And that is like, no chance. I'm not giving it up. It's mine. Off he goes with it. So He-Man, after the beast attacks, defeats it by busting. This thing is like it breathes fire, so He-Man uses water against it to defeat it the first time. But he's like, this isn't gonna be the last time I see it. He breaks down like an overhead lake that's above the city. He busts the banks and that there, and soaks this thing to the skin. Kind of wins that first fight, but yes, he's like, this isn't the last time we're going to see it. But Man at Arms has created like a new freeze ray weapon that hopefully they can use against it, but he's having a few problems with it. It keeps malfunctioning on him. So what happens next is, of course, the beast, the Gryphon, can sense where this jewel is at and realises it's in the royal palace, the royal city surrounding the palace. So that's the next target for this thing. So it does attack. They realise they need to get this jewel and return it, and that's the only way they're going to defeat it, is to return this jewel to it. But Thad has turned heel, ran away with it outside the palace, which is a good thing in a way, because the beast does realise that it's not in the palace, changes its attack and leaves, heads towards the countryside. Teela is on the heels of Thad at this point and catches him, and she's like, we need this back. Thad is also running away because he heard that someone had stolen the jewel, but he's not a thief, he found it, so he runs away because he thinks He-Man has called him the thief. But Trapjaw and Beastman nicked it at the beginning of the episode, left it there for this beast to come in to destroy all around it, as Skeletor's plan. So they cleared off. You don't see them in the rest of the episode. So in the wilderness, the forest and that, Teela manages to get hold of him, explains things to Thad, and people, you're better off people liking you for who you are and not the possessions that you have. And she talks him around, and she gets the jewel back off him, and Man at Arms comes to rescue them, and the Wind Raider, the Gryphon has attacked again and has set fire to the better part of the forest at this point. So He-Man has jumped from the Wind Raider to try and beat back the flames, which he does by fighting another lake and essentially rips the top off a mountain and chucks it into the water, and the splash takes out the fire. But while they've been rescued, Thad and Teela, while they've been rescued by Man-at-Arms and the Wind Raider, Thad drops the jewel and it's floating down this new river essentially on a top of a log, and He-Man realises, okay, right, we need to get this here egg. Well, it turns out to be an egg. They still think it's a jewel at this stage. So they see the jewel break open. It's an egg. It's a baby Gryphon. And they're all in the Wind Raider at this point. Man-at-Arms, Teela, He-Man, Thad. And they realise that the Gryphon is actually afraid of water, and so is a newborn. So it's floating along in this log. Its mother can't get it. He-Man is going to jump down, rescue the thing, but Thad stops him at the last second. He's like, no, this is my fault. I found the egg. It's up to me to set it right. So he jumps into the water, gets over to the baby Gryphon and reaches it up to its mother, who stops her attack. It's all smiles with her newborn, and they fly off. And at the end of the episode, the wee guy, Thad, is like, that's me back to just been a plain old page again. Nobody's going to know who I am. And Man-at-Arms is like, I am going to give your name to the king personally and tell him about your bravery today. And the little guy's all happy at the end of the episode that he's going to get, honoured essentially for his bravery and what he did in the episode. And basically at the end of the episode, the PSA essentially is Man-at-Arms saying the best part of today's story was an Orko was there with him. Oh, maybe it was the time that He-Man ripped the top off a mountain. There's all these different examples of bravery and strength from He-Man in the episode, and Orko brings that up, and Man-at-Arms like, no, that wasn't it. And everything that Orko brings up, this is the best part of the story. He-Man did this, He-Man did that, and Man-at-Arms says that's not what it was. When Thad decided to take responsibility for his own actions, that was the best part of today's story, because when I seen him doing that, I seen a boy becoming a man. Great episode, great little lesson from it. Take responsibility for your actions. I know fully grown up people on the face of the planet that screw up in major ways and will never ever take responsibility for their actions, and I could personally hand this box set to at least 15 people that I know at the moment and tell them to watch this episode, and I'm like, guys, you're in your 30s now, grow the F up. This show learned so many lessons back in the day, just another example of how it can do it today as well. That's going to do it for this episode, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you in the next one.